Hello, Renee Flamond here. I'm sorry, I have an itch on my face as soon as I hit play. Why start over just for that? It's just an itch, it's human. You guys, I know somebody, I know a few people, but one person stands out in my mind who's they're just different in the strength that they have. And you know, their life there's been some dues paid. So this maybe was hard earned. But I've known this person since I was young. And they've always been this way. They're very, very strong. And they were never even susceptible, like some of us are, to the trappings of a narcissist one bit. I know, you might say, well, how can that be? Well, first of all, and I know throughout life you talk. You know who they meet, what happens, what they say back, what they've encountered, how they've reacted. It's different than what you've reacted. You pay attention. And they'd recognize the love bombing as the BS. Like, I've gone back and thought about it. We might not have had the verbiage. We might not have had the vocabulary of what we've all learned now. But they would recognize the BS. And they've stopped them in their tracks at the first sign of mistreatment. Like thing number one, red flag number one, moment number one, disaster date number one, any of the things that we talk about. Moment number one, they're like, oh, no, goodbye. Goodbye. That easy, too. Goodbye. Next. Like, I always think of Beyonce's song, Irreplaceable. Next. Like, that song's very empowering. It's about valuing yourself. And some people are at a higher point of frequency with that realization than others. And I've gone through it myself. How do you think the narcissist got me? You have something inside you. This person I have in mind, she just... I don't know. And like when you listen to certain people, you'll hear them say things like, this is what it sounds like when a person's not susceptible. You'll hear them say things like, oh, please, he probably says that to everyone. Whereas we're eating it up. Or he's got the wrong girl if he thinks he can treat me that way. Whereas we might have let it slide. We might have forgiven them, ignored the red flag. We're fighting about it for 12 hours over tears. Why'd you do that? Whereas some people, no, goodbye. That's not acceptable. Goodbye. Seems so easy to me now. It really does seem easy to me now that I'm on the other side of it. Like, I look at who I was during the narcissist relationship, and I can't possibly fathom ever accepting the same things ever again. I absolutely think I would see it way before it got to that point, and I think I've now become like that strong person who got it back and is able to say bye-bye. But I was extremely vulnerable, and that is definitely what attracts the narcissist. Once you get stronger, a person like I just mentioned, she may attract a narcissist. I'm not saying she wouldn't, but they'll go away with their tail between their legs inside of 30 seconds. They're not getting very far with a person like that. And they're not getting very far with a person like me today. Yes, I can say that. So can you, I hope. But they got pretty far with me pre this relationship. It wasn't the first narcissist I've dated. It wasn't the first time I became susceptible to those kinds of situations you get into. Why? I was vulnerable. I had it written all over me. And you know, when I used to hear like older women, like, you know, in the break room of work or whatever, say things like what I just said, oh, he's got the wrong girl if he could think he, or oh, please, he probably says that to everyone. When I think back to when I was like in my 20s, I didn't catch on that they were onto something. I thought, and I remember they used to say to me, oh, you're still young, you're still hopeful, you're still, you know, thinking the fairy tale. So I attributed it to their age And I thought, I would love to hear this good stuff they're saying. What does she mean it's BS? I'd love for him to say that to me. The love bombing. They'd come in with lines, he said, and they'd laugh at them as being lines. Like they knew better. They knew better. They weren't vulnerable. And I remember saying, I would think of that as good stuff. I would definitely believe that. I would love for a man to say those things to me. But I'd attribute that at that time. I remember my mindset was, well, I'm a romantic and they just aren't, or they've experienced some things that have made them, a little guarded, or the reality is, perhaps without even knowing, like I said, the vocabulary associated with the cycle, the disorder, they were aware and awake to how some folks indeed do operate. They knew. Maybe it was experience because they were older. Maybe they'd been through it already and learned. Maybe they just knew. The person I have in my mind, she just knows. She knows she's it. She knows. She values herself. She knows. It's beautiful to watch. She glides through life, unfazed. And she's had a lot of big things that could phase her big. She glides gracefully because she has an inner glow, a strength. Like you could lean on this person. 10 people have leaned on this person at once. And she takes it. It's beautiful to watch because she doesn't have a vulnerability that somebody's going to come along and squash her. She's her own tower. And that's what I aspire to be, my tower, where nobody can come in and squash it. And when you're vulnerable, it is a dangerous spot. These kinds of people that know better aren't so trusting like we are, who maybe don't know better until we learn and we're still in that vulnerable place. They're not so trusting, and I really was. I believed anything I was told, pretty much. I just assumed people told the truth. At 23, 33, 53. I told you, I learned this lesson finally last year. 2 years now it's been. Wow. So I'm searching for Cinderella all my life, and as a young person, far be it from me to not believe what I was hearing. I was waiting to hear these words. I didn't know about this disorder. How would I not fall for it? And they can smell people like me. They smell it. The narcissist not only is attracted to it, they seek it out. Why? I'm prime target. To listen to the love bombing. I've been waiting for it my whole life. And that vulnerability all on display as I divulge to them within 5 minutes every last wish I have, thinking it was passing as small talk, getting to know someone talk, is just so dangerous. And now, no, and no. We give ourselves away, don't we? First I would tell the person way too much. They'd have a roadmap on what I needed, wanted, dreamt of by the time the entree hit the table. Now, they're getting nothing until I trust them. And that's not being cynical, that's being careful. I'll talk plenty, as you may surmise. I can talk about anything I'm not going to be quiet. That's not what that means. But you can deter the conversation, and we've made videos about that, away from your personal. You don't have to divulge. The question, what was your last relationship like? Why'd you break up? That's really personal. And people ask that, on first dates. I'll deter away from that. We don't want to get into that, do we? We're not going down that road, are we? You can make it joking. You don't have to make it all serious and say, I'd rather not get into it. It was heartbreaking. You don't have to say anything. It's not their business. That shows vulnerability when you tell them everything about anything that you went through. Now, if they're a narcissist, they're going to take all that information And they're going to be able to tailor make a love bomb plan just for you. Tailor made. Guaranteed to work. Nothing. I'm not telling anybody anything anymore. Getting to know a person post a narcissistic situation, you got to let who they are unfold naturally without any clues from you on what they should be. Because if they're a narcissist, they'll just follow that roadmap. And none of what they do will be sincerely them. They're going off what you told them when you were vulnerable and trying to, because we're so worried, are they going to like us? And I get very nervous when I'm on a date, or if there's like a boy afoot that I like. I say boy on purpose because we all feel 13 when we like someone. As open as I am, no, I'm not shy. Never been shy a day in my life. But if there's like a boy afoot that I like, I either clam up, and then once I do start talking, I'm blah, 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 blah. I'm kind of like a Nimrod a little bit. Like I'm a kind of a spaz. I'm not cool with the game, and no. So I think I used to chatter. I was nervous. Blah, 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 blah. Now I don't say much. I limit it to 5 or 6 words, and I throw it back to them. I've completely changed that aspect of myself. And that doesn't mean I don't share with them animated stories, anecdotal stories, things about my family maybe, but I keep it on the light. I keep it on the funny. They don't need to know my deepest, darkest wishes and wants right now. That's a vulnerable side of yourself, and I don't think there's anything wrong with you keeping it for yourself and you know, it to protect yourself. I just don't think that it is. So if they are not a narcissist and they are of the honest set, then that will unfold. You didn't have to tell them who you wanted them to be and explain to them your dreams. Who they will be if they're not a narcissist and they're a strong man with conviction or woman, that will unfold. They'll reveal their true strong self, and then you can decide if they are for you. How many times girls, especially I hear it from friends, they get so frustrated with dating that, I'll just date this guy. I'm tired, or I don't want to look anymore, or the next guy's going to have problems too, or what? No. You have a right to reject 10 guys in a row if they're not for you. You have to decide. We tiptoe. We want them to like us. We tiptoe. So, no. You have a right to say they're not for you. So, let their natural person unfold. Don't let your vulnerabilities guide you to sharing so much and letting them know everything about you. Because they may turn out not to be the one for you. And that's okay. All right. How invested can you be? Seriously. How invested can you be if it's date 1? And I've heard this. I say that because I've heard that. Date 1. Oh, but he read so perfectly, and he's this and he's that, and I've always wanted this, and he has that too. And okay, it's still a first date. How invested can you be? Half of the things could be lies. And it's date number 1. So if you don't reveal everything about yourself and they don't turn out to be who you think is for you, that's okay. It's date 1. You got to keep that into perspective, right? If you remain on the stronger side and limit what you divulge, then you're allowing their true self, or whatever they decide to show you self, to unfold and emerge without any hints from you on what they need to be. So in time, you will determine if they're a match for you, and you're being able to look at their authentic self. Unless it's a narcissist, they're still going to try to get things from you and mirror you and love bomb you. But if it's a healthy individual and they're sitting in their own authentic self, you'll see if they're a match for you in a genuine way. Imagine how glorious that would be. And then you actually know who you're getting. You didn't give them any guidance. Don't reveal anything, because it's a vulnerable side when you reveal what you want. It's giving people, the wrong people, it's ammunition. The right people, it's you're sharing something about yourself. But either way, it can be used against you, right? Of course it can, in the wrong hands. And maybe used to help you and show you love if you put it in the right hands. The problem is you don't know on date one or in the beginning if you can share all that, right? We got to be careful of that. Whether they're dysfunctional or healthy, they don't need to be getting such generous help from me, I decided. I used to do that before. Please watch this. And it's tough. It was tough. I always told myself I wasn't going to do it, and I did it. I get nervous, and I start talking a mile a minute, and now I've tested myself on the few dates I've been on in the last year or whatever, from being on the line. I went on a one here and, one there, and the guy with 2 lunches that couldn't accept no that I made a video about. But I feel like I'm good now. I've recognized myself. I don't do that anymore. But it took some practice, right? I had to practice. Because some of us just are natural chit-chatters, and I was used to that habit. You want it to be the one, to be real. So we oftentimes, depending, again, it's our state of vulnerability. Imagine we see something. That's what I used to do. I would often imagine I saw something that isn't really even there. And I think it was like I subconsciously unloaded my wishes, thinking I'd be urging the guy in the right direction on how to behave. That doesn't even compute. If he was going to behave in a way that was my type, then that would have happened anyway without my input, just by him being himself. Do you know what I mean? So that doesn't even make any sense that I used to do that. But I don't think I thought of it as I was telling the guy how to be, because I wasn't ever in a place of there are manipulative people that could be sitting across from you gaining this information so they can use it against you. I thought I was sharing it with someone that would never have done that. So I didn't really think it needed to be controlled. And I thought, gently maybe tell people, whether it's, I don't know, Cinderella's not about open doors and whatever, but he, whatever you say that you like, a gentlemanly behavior or something from a fairy tale, or whatever, you say it. And you hope you guide them towards that behavior. You're trying to teach them if they didn't show you that. They take that and run with it. There are bad people. So showing that vulnerable side is dangerous. And I just want you to watch that. My concern for the vulnerable is that you're still open to becoming entangled with another narcissist. So look at your pattern. What do you do when dating? How much info do you give away? And dial it back, lest you risk having that vulnerability taken advantage of again. And we've all been there already. So watch that. You can still be in vulnerable places if you want to feel and cry and share. Pick a friend. Pick a friend, a family member, vent, not a new person, someone you're just dating. If they're a narcissist, that's how they'll get in. So we're all after strength. That's what we're after. So I hope this helps you, and I just want you to be careful, because it got me into a lot of hot water, and I could have avoided a lot of trouble if I just worked on my inner strength a little bit more, and I think you could do that now. Just keep that in mind, all of that. Thank you so much for watching. Please go ahead and hit sub, like, and share, and I'll see you next time.